Joining me here now is somebody I go way back with. He shares the Michigan thing with me. And Jim Harbaugh was also his first quarterback, just like mine. Adam Schefter here on the Rich Eisen Show from the worldwide leader in sports. Look at you, Adam. You look so well lit. Look how well you look on this show.
Well, let me say this to everybody.
Yes.
Rich sent me a text, and he's like, you need a ring light. And Rich is responsible for how this looks now, much better than it used to, at least. I don't know how great it looks now or doesn't look.
Well, you know what, Adam, I'm sure you've got a beautiful ceiling in that room. I just didn't want to see all of it. You know what I mean? I just, look at you. Look at you.
Rich, we can play with the light. Do we like that lighting better? Or we like
I like the other one. This one's better? You want to help? No, that's no good.
You need
that one right there. That's good.
That one?
Yes.
There we go.
Soft. Right?
Yeah. Well, the last one gives him like a Breer-like tan.
And we don't need that.
A Breer-like tan?
No, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need
been a few brutal days in the Breer household.
There's my Michigan man. There he is. There he is. Good to see. By the way, this is how we went to break. I think you'll like this photograph that we used of you. There it is. You like that one, Adam? You like that?
I can't see. Hold on. Oh, there we go. A little one finger up. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
I missed that look.
What is that?
Hold up.
I used to get that all the time. Were you on your phone?
Where's that from?
I don't know. I don't know where we found it. Mitch found it. Sean Mitchell is the best in the business. He found it.
Oh, you know what that is? You know what that is? I think that's I did a campaign with my wife this summer. She's a type 1 diabetic, and we were raising awareness for people to be tested for type 1 diabetes. And I think that's the one pledge.
Fantastic.
So that's what that is. Or we were just getting ready for Monday night, Rich. One or the other.
I guess your wife figured, you know what? I get that all the time, from my husband. We might as well use it for something good. You know what I mean? Like.
There you go.
I love you, Adam Schefter. Thanks for doing this. All right, let's just jump right into it. How nervous should we all be that Jim's leaving? What do you think? What do you got for me on that?
I think here's the way that I view it. The NFL has been a possibility for him each of the last few years, and it has always been up to the NFL to make it such that it could convince him to go. He hires Don Yee, the NFL-based agent, this year, which obviously raises the antenna of everybody. But the fact of the matter is, it's still incumbent upon an NFL team to want him, be the right ownership group, be the right quarterback, be the right situation for him and his family, that he feels like that's better than what he has. Now, I know the NCAA could come calling and all that, but he does love Ann Arbor. But here's the thing. He's really done what he wanted to do and what he was supposed to do in Ann Arbor. He's accomplished everything that he set out to do, other than winning this game on Monday night, which he may or may not. We'll see.
Right.
But even if he doesn't, and hopefully he does, but even if he doesn't, he has restored the program and accomplished what he set out to do. So I think we're back in the situation where if an NFL team makes it worthwhile for him and gives him an opportunity that he believes is better than the one that he has, then I think he could leave, yes.
Well, and obviously the one that's sitting right up the road from me right here in SoFi Stadium, because Justin Herbert checks a box. I think I saw Greeny hop on, on McAfee's show recently saying that he ran into Harbaugh at a funeral, interestingly enough, and Harbaugh was talking his ear off unsolicitedly about Justin Herbert, so that would check a box, one would think.
Well, let me say this. He's not the only head coach who loves Justin Herbert. There are others that
I'm sure.
There are others that I know specifically who would love to coach Justin Herbert.
Okay? But Jim also brings a certain level of cachet, but what he also would require would be a certain level of cash. And I also imagine, he's got to shop for the groceries too, or have his own handpicked person be that. Do you see the Spanos family handing him the store and the amount of money that would cost him to say, all right, I'll coach Justin Herbert? What do you think?
I see the Spanos family conducting a open-ended, exhaustive search, not being focused in on Jim Harbaugh. Jim, I see being a candidate there. I'm not telling you he's the candidate there, and ultimately he may turn out to be the candidate. But at the outset of the search, I think he's one of the guys that they probably are eyeing from afar, and they know him. He played quarterback there before. He coached at San Diego State. So it's not like they don't know him. It's not like they're not familiar with him. Would they be willing to do all that? Look, when you're entering into a marriage this significant you figure out a way to try to make it work, and you hope it does, never knowing if it will. So I think that if that's the guy they want, they'll figure out a way to make it work.
Okay, and so then let's talk about coaching searches writ large. How many? There's 3 open now. What do you think the number is going to be? What's your best guess? Crystal ball it for me.
I've said all along, I've said 7 to 10, and I still believe that to be the case.
Wow. 7 to 10.
Rich, let me explain this to you.
Yes.
The NFL has averaged on, go back to the start of the century, 6.8 head coaching changes per year, 6.8. We got 5 last year. It almost never happens that you get a low number below the median average in back-to-back years. Could it happen? It could. But if you go back and look, you almost always get 12 to 13 to 14 in a 2-year stretch. I'm playing the percentages and odds, and I could probably match it up as well, but we'll get, I believe, at a minimum 7.
7. Okay. So,
and I think probably more.
Okay.
In the end.
Wow, probably more. All right. Well, Commanders were obviously, unfortunately for Ron Rivera, and that's the problem with these conversations is you and I both know these people mostly, and it's tough to just talk about who's going to lose their job or not, but this is the National Football League. So it's become sport for better or worse. I don't like it, and I try to avoid it as long as possible, but when you're coming up to the last weekend of the season, it's just a part of the conversation the way playoff clinching scenarios are. It just is. Like that's how it is, so unfortunately. The Commanders are 1. What's your latest reporting on the Patriots? What do you have for me there with that subject matter?
I guess I would say that would be a potential other spot, of course, right? And Bill Belichick, I don't think is ready to retire. I think he wants to keep coaching. But I just think it's a situation where there's been speculation all year about this, right?
Yeah.
Right, Rick?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm listening.
Have you heard anybody stop it?
No. Right.
Neither have I.
Well, that is definitely an indication. So the question is, though, is that maybe it's not stopped because there's a negotiation that's happening behind the scenes, or there could be a coming of the mind where Bill gives up some form of grocery shopping, since that's always that was the phrase from New England was where that phrase was born years ago for the other Bill. I mean, what do you got? No, you don't see that happening?
No, listen, I think that at the end of the season, at some point, these two sides are going to meet and figure out what they want to do. And we'll see where it goes from there. I think, most people believe that somehow the question is, how do they figure out a way to dissolve the relationship? I think that's what most people believe. Now, we'll see what actually happens in a meeting, and anything can. They've been together a long time. We've known plenty of people who plan for their marriage to break up only to stay together and try to make it work. So there's a question and some suspense and drama about how it ultimately will be handled. But I think we're in a situation in the end where these two sides have been together for a long time. And it just feels like everybody wants to try something new. And we'll see if that turns out to be the case.
And then how long do you think this plays out? Because there's been some changes, right? And when you can contact coaches on other teams in the playoffs, right? Like the league kind of wants this thing to not go so quickly and to make sure that these searches are exhaustive. How long do you see this stuff playing out into January? And obviously that's crucial when it comes to Michigan. If Jim is going to be, looking at his watch and saying, I got to make a decision right here. What do you think?
Well, Adam? It actually works out because Jim's going to coach Monday night, and his season, one way or another, is going to be over at about midnight on Monday night. So at that point in time, if there's an NFL team that wants to go talk to him, he will be right there amongst the candidates. Now, yes, you're correct. The league is trying to slow down these searches and make teams take more time than ever. And they're going to have to, because they're not allowed to interview the candidates until after the divisional playoff weekend. So whereas we used to see this rush where it was crazy, I never understood it, where you're interviewing coordinators as they're getting ready for a wild card game on a short week. Like, how does that even happen? It's crazy. The league has slowed it down, and none of these interviews are going to take place till after the divisional playoffs. So it used to be, we've done this a long time, but it used to be, I would say, leading up to the divisional playoff round, we would get the first hire and then another hire. And then by the time that round rolled around, most of the openings would be filled. And that's not going to happen this year. Like they're doing their best to slow this down by another 7 to 10 days. And so there's time for everybody. There's no rush on anything. And that means that when the season ends, whether the Kraft family and Belichick meet on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday next week or at the end of the week, it doesn't really matter because there's time for everybody to do what they need to do in a thoughtful, responsible manner.
Few minutes left with Adam Schefter, my buddy from back in the day at Michigan now and NFL Network now with the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN. So when I was walking into the Rose Bowl, Adam, and all the Michigan-clad fans were walking past me, I got a lot of Go Blues, and I got a lot of the Lions were screwed. I got a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Brad Allen, the official that was part of Eligible Gate, whatever you want to call it,
Report Gate.
Report Gate. I like it. There you go. We improved it. We workshopped it. That first game out of the box, national television game on ESPN and ABC. He's going to officiate it. What's your reporting behind that thought process, Adam?
Well, those assignments are made weeks in advance. It's not like all of a sudden the assignment came in after this game. Those assignments are penciled in weeks in advance. And so this is something that the league had. And the real question will be whether Brad Allen will get to officiate in the postseason. Will the members of his crew get to officiate in the postseason? We'll see. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But they were penciled in for this game. And again, when we're talking about the officiating crew for a game, the first game of the week, that's never a good sign for anybody, right? That we are taking note of who's officiating, but everybody is going to be watching. And hopefully it boosts ESPN and ABC's ratings that much more because they want to see how the Brad Allen crew does on Saturday afternoon.
Okay. And then let's chop this one up, Adam. Very rarely do I see you in my replies on the old Twitter machine on X. I had to see if it was a fake blue check mark with your name and avatar. There's only 1 million of those out there.
Yeah.
But during the Christmas night game, I was just seeing everybody saying, "Oh boy, here's Lamar now the MVP." Check that box. I totally agree with that. And how all the teams blew it by passing on him because there was collusion happening. And I'm like, hold on a second. Lamar was never an unrestricted free agent. He was just transition tagged, which allowed other teams to talk with him. And what I was hearing at the time is the reason why teams didn't reach out to him wasn't that they didn't believe in his abilities. They were concerned about his eating habits, to be straight up with you. And they were also concerned with his work habits. But more than anything else, they were concerned that the Ravens loved him so much. Why help them figure out their conundrum in a contract by negotiating one only to allow them to match it? That's what I was talking about. And then you jump in saying that's not it. So I'll give you the floor, Adam. What's your reporting on all this?
I think that may have been a slight part of it, but here's the thing. There was never a team that was even willing to challenge it. What if there was a team, Rich, whatever team it was, that went to Lamar and said, we're going to give you a 5-year, $300 million deal, fully guaranteed? What if there's a team out there that went to him and said, we're going to make you the highest paid quarterback by a lot, and we're going to make it difficult for the Ravens to match, and we want you to be here? Here's a guy, Lamar Jackson, that publicly said while we were at the owners' meetings that he wants out of Baltimore. So he wanted out and said as much. Everybody can say whatever they want post facto. Oh, he wasn't going to leave. The Ravens weren't going to match. There was never a team that was willing to even make the effort to challenge it, to make it such that the Ravens couldn't match. And I find it to be, that's like saying, well, the Cardinals aren't going to beat the Eagles. Why play the game? They're not going to win that game.
But also, it's two number ones that you'd have to cough up. $300 million, $300 million.
Wait, hold on.
But we're viewing this right now after seeing Lamar right now. He didn't finish the previous 2 seasons in. Adam, listen, we don't traffic in rumor. We don't traffic in rumor. But the conversation was, why wasn't he out there with his teammates? Why wasn't he with them? He was sick. I mean, there was a lot of questions about the way Lamar was handling his business behind the scenes. There was a lot of questions about Lamar being healthy. And I love the kid.
All those are fair. You raise great points there.
Okay.
And that has more to do with it than the Ravens not willing to match. There was never a team that was willing to step up to even challenge it, whether it's because of the eating habits you're suggesting or whether it's because he didn't finish either of the past 2 seasons due to a knee injury or somebody didn't think that he would be worthy of being ultra aggressive. We've seen over time teams step up when they wanted somebody to make it happen. Nobody stepped up. The Panthers stepped up for Bryce Young. That's what they did. Nobody stepped up for a variety of reasons for Lamar Jackson to even put Baltimore in a spot where they would be in a tough position where all of a sudden they'd have to match. By the way, it's 2-1s. If you sign Lamar to an offer sheet and you go to Baltimore, you say,
no, I get that. I get that with what we're seeing out of Lamar, and that's why I always thought the Ravens were never going to let him walk anyway.
By the way, they were never even presented with a difficult, never challenged.
No, and
that's
I get
the
that.
problem I have.
But it's also different, for a team to cough up 2-1s for a kid on a rookie contract, and you don't have to pay him $200 million or $300 million until you've seen it from him. I mean, and I know that sounds ridiculous when you see what Bryce Young looks like, and you know what Lamar has been and is, and clearly will be for years going forward for a Ravens franchise that may win the Super Bowl with him this year because they do love him that much. So that's different. But this conversation, people are going to be looking at me like I'm an NFL stooge, or you won't say the word collusion because everybody thinks that's what it was. That it was collusion.
But by the way, there's still an ongoing collusion case. There's depositions being taken. I don't know what's going to come out of that, but that's going on. So that's another element. But again, nobody challenged this. Nobody tried to be creative with this. Nobody said, we're going to sign Lamar to an offer sheet, and then we're going to go make this trade proposal to Baltimore for all the reasons that we talked about here. Nobody was aggressive. Nobody challenged it. And when you look at him this year, you say, how could that be? But it wasn't that we're scared Baltimore is going to match, so we're not going to sign him. I don't believe that's what it was.
Adam?
Was that one of the factors? Yeah, okay, fine. But it was among a multitude of factors. And again, it's a lost opportunity from any number of teams that could have been aggressive and put all the mental energies into these contracts that these teams do. So many of these teams are so smart and so creative with so many things. And there were just teams that just whiffed here. They just whiffed.
Adam, love you, brother. Love you.
Love you too, Rich.
I mean, this is the greatest Michigan football. I mean, we had Charles Woodson on yesterday. He said if they win, they're the best Michigan football team ever. He's even above the '97 team because he said that's what he said. That's what he said.
The people there at the school around the program have been touting this team and these players and this group of young men all season long. And I remember being there this summer and talking to people, and they're saying last year Georgia had 15 players that were drafted into the NFL, and Michigan felt like it had a real possibility of this current team, to have 18 players drafted this year. So as good as Georgia was last year, Michigan has a real possibility to have more players drafted. Now, there won't be a lot of high picks the way there were in Georgia, but there's going to be a lot of Michigan talent that you'll be calling on draft night.
No doubt. No doubt. And then I'll be reaching out for you, for the next part of our calendar year, which is that and what the Bears are going to do and all that sort of stuff. Adam, great conversation. Love seeing you, especially in this light. It really is. It's golden.
Rich, I always appreciate you casting me in a good light. Thank you.
You always, I'm always there for that. Love you, brother. You be well.
Thanks. Love you too.
It's Adam Schefter. Everybody follow him. You already do. Right here on the Rich Eisen Show from ESPN. I think he's running off to do a couple of sports centers.
Probably.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.